Hey there and welcome back. In today's video, we'll be talking about how I earned millions of silver, combat fame, might, and favor without having to do any PvP. Now, it won't be completely safe since you'll have to do this in the black zone, but it'll be less risky and more controlled than being out in the open world. Since you'll be doing this in a cheap 4.1 or 4.2 set, the risk value remains low while the reward value is very high. If you want to practice this, you can always practice this in the yellow zone version. There won't be any risk, but the reward can be much lower. I will go over tips and tricks to keep you alive, what items to take, and which abilities to use. We will also go over which consumables to take. Now, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join the Discord community. We have a growing community for all 3 regions, including the up-and-coming EU server. I have 30-day premium giveaways every 2 weeks and currently have a Founders Pack giveaway that ends on April 1st. Now, without further ado, let's get into the video. So you might be wondering how exactly I'm earning all this silver and fame in the black zone without PvPing. Well, the answer is ratting. You won't be ratting players, but you'll be ratting in the Nightfall Abbeys. And if you aren't familiar with what ratting is, it pretty much stands for run and take. So as you may know, Nightfall Abbeys have an abundance of room filled with mobs that provide a high amount of fame and the potential to make a lot of silver from chests. Now, the other benefit is that you'll be completing your Conqueror's Challenge, which rewards you with a tier 8 chest filled with silver and combat fame. You'll be rewarded favor that can be used to purchase tier 6 Conqueror chests, and your adventure challenge, which rewards you with tier 6 Conqueror's chests as well. So there's a huge amount of passive rewards that you'll gain on the side from doing this. Now you might be asking yourself, how much fame do you make? Since the Conqueror's chests are separate from the 15-minute Nightfall Abbey, we won't count those. You're roughly averaging about 2.5 to 3 million combat fame per hour. To put this into perspective, that is roughly the same amount of soloing static dungeons with a Gucci 30 million silver set. The only difference is that you'll be doing this with a cheap 4.1 or 4.2 set, which makes it more accessible to all players. Now let's talk about my thought process when joining the Abbey, what I hope to accomplish, and how I avoid dying. You will find and locate the Nightfall Abbeys in the mist, and it can take a few minutes to do so. While scouting for entrances, I do recommend avoiding any camps marked as objectives. These locations usually tend to house enemy players that will increase your chance of dying. I do, however, recommend killing mobs that will provide you with a decent amount of fame. This can be spiders, boss mobs, empowered mobs, and even direwolves for the chance of a direwolf pup. Now, the direwolf pups currently run around 210,000 silver. You can even release wisps for extra combat fame. Now, it is important to maximize your fame and silver while locating the entrance. So when entering an abbey, the first thing that you want to do is to be aware of your closest exit. This will better prepare you if you come across any enemy players looking to kill you. Since only certain amounts of people are allowed in the abbey at a time, you won't consistently run into other players. I would first attempt to run away from the player and move to another part of the abbey to continue mob farming. However, if you see that they are adamant about killing you and continue to chase you, I'd recommend exiting and joining back up on the next one. Next thing you want to do is to quickly go through the rooms and clear as many as you can. Hopefully you get lucky enough to get a good number of chests, since this is where most of the silver will come from. You don't want to get too greedy. If you do hit an epic chest that's worth millions of silver, you're best off exiting and banking than risking to continue. So it is pretty simple, and you'll just rinse and repeat. Always be on the lookout for enemy players, kill as many mobs as you can, and be aware of your exits. Now let's talk about which items and abilities I recommend and why. Alright, for your main weapon, you're going to go with Blight Staff for the sustain and extra damage. As we know, nature is the king of PvE, so for your first ability, you're going to go with Thorn Growth, which does damage and crowd control. You'll do damage over time with the thorns that you drop on the ground. It deals damage every half second and applies what's called a Thorn Charge. These Thorn Charges do additional damage when you auto attack as it gets consumed. Keep in mind, you'll also slow your enemies down by 25%, so it's good to lay these out and do as much AoE damage as you can at once. Now, the next ability is going to be Bramble Seeds. Bramble Seeds will knock your enemy up into the air and do a large amount of damage. It's good to pair your Thorn Growth and your Bramble Seeds together for a combo. Now, your E is called Elevated Nature. Elevated Nature conjures an aura that has a 9-meter radius, increasing your movement speed by 15% while channeling, and also heals you. So this is really good when fighting mobs. If you got a big pack on you, or if you're fighting a more difficult mob, it'll heal you up. Also, if you're needing to get some sort of movement speed to either get out of things or to run away from an enemy player, this is something that you can use to go ahead and give you a bit of a speed boost. Now, when it comes to your passive, you're going to go with Energetic. Energetic allows your auto attacks to restore energy. This is really good. Since you'll auto attack a lot with this build, it'll go ahead and keep your energy high, and you'll be able to quickly move through the groups. Now, for your helmet, you're going to go with the Mage Cow. The Mage Cow is very cheap and does a lot of damage. You'll take Fire Breath for your first ability. which deals damage over time over a 3-second period, and it does damage to multiple enemies in the cone radius. So you'll be able to round up a group of mobs and attack all of them and use your fire breath on them. For your passive, you'll go with aggression, which increases your damage and healing cast by 3.5%. Now let's talk about your armor piece. For your armor piece, normally I like to go with something like a mercenary jacket because it provides you sustain. However, since we're going to be in a black zone area where we have the risk of getting attacked or killed, we're going to run with an assassin jacket. And for your main ability, you're going to go with ambush. So ambush allows you to turn invisible for up to 7 seconds within a certain range. This is something that I use quite a bit. If I do see that I'm going to get attacked, it lets me go invisible and buys me some time to run away and use my boots of mobility, go ahead and actually escape the enemy. So you always want to use this. Also, if you're going to be taking too much damage from the enemy mobs, you can use this to go ahead and reset the mobs and heal up. As far as for your actual passive, you're going to go with Balanced Mind for the increased damage and healing of up to 4%. It also provides you a little bit of defense, about 2% defense. Now your boots, I like to go with the minor work boots. The reason being is that the minor work boots give you the ability called Flee. This not only increases your max load by 200%, but it'll also increase your movement speed by 120%, which is a lot more than the other boots provide. And it gives you it for about 10 seconds, which is a pretty long time. Allows you to quickly go ahead and gain some distance and get to an exit. Now the only downside is that it does silence you for 13 seconds. So you want to make sure that you don't use this first and then end up getting caught. Try to use your invisibility first. That way you don't silence yourself and you go ahead and have a little bit of leeway, get a little bit extra space. Now when it comes to your cape, it really doesn't matter. I don't recommend anything expensive. I like to go with the basic 4.1 cape. That gives me a little bit of max energy as well as energy regeneration. And it keeps the build a lot cheaper just in case something happens where you do get caught or you do end up dying, you can easily re-gear. Now when it comes to consumables for your potions, I recommend minor poison potions. These are great to go ahead and use against like more difficult or elite mobs. It does true damage to them, about 450 of it. And also it'll slow them down while they're poisoned if you auto attack them. So it's a good chunk of damage that you can do on those bigger mobs, allowing you to quickly kill them. Now for your food, I recommend catfish or carrot, whichever you like, whatever you can afford that's going to regenerate your health after battle. So what you want to do is you want to quickly get your health up just in case somebody comes by, or you want to go ahead and keep pulling, get those mobs packs going. You'll quickly regenerate your health and you don't have to wait on that and have any sort of downtime. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm more than confident that you'll benefit from the following build and gameplay. If you are interested in more Albion Online content, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And like always, stay epic, stay legendary, and I'll see you in the next video.